name is Allison Rose Munn, and here in New York City, it is Pride Month. I am here in front of the Stonewall National Monument, the first monument in the United States to commemorate the movement for LGBT rights. The 1960s was a time of civil unrest in the United States. The decade was shaped by the civil rights movement, with Black Americans fighting for equal rights. Protests against the Vietnam War were plentiful. Mexican Americans were fighting for higher wages for farm workers. And at the end of the decade, the gay pride movement began. In the 1960s, it was perfectly legal for a bartender to refuse service to someone they thought was gay under a law that allowed them to refuse service to anyone they deemed a disorderly person. And so, in 1966, a group of young men held what they called a Sip In, inspired by the sit-ins being held in segregated restaurants in the South. They invited a handful of reporters to come along with them, went into bars, announced that they were homosexuals, and waited to be served. Here at Julius's, they were denied, in a moment that was caught on camera and later written about in both the New York Times and the Village Voice. The funny thing is, Julius's had been known as a hangout for gay men since the 1950s, but they had recently been raided by the police and knew they were under close scrutiny for serving disorderly customers. Shall we grab a drink? Just down the street from Julius's was a bar that was known for being gay-friendly. It was run by some mafia dudes, and they didn't care about someone's sexuality as long as the bill was paid. The Stonewall was not only a popular place for gay men and women to hang out, it was also a place where they could dance together, a rarity in the 1960s. The bar not only served disorderlies, but it also didn't have a liquor license, and so police raids were common. On a Tuesday afternoon in June, the Stonewall was raided and the owners made the mistake of bragging to the deputy in charge, "We'll be open tomorrow." So the deputy put a team together and decided to do something different. They would raid the bar during its peak business hours. The raid began around 1:20 a.m. on a hot, steamy night. The date was Saturday, June 28th, 1969, and the raid did not go as planned. The police arrested any uncooperative patrons and then, to complete the raid, seized and tagged all of the liquor behind the bar. While they were doing that, the arrested patrons grew restless and a crowd gathered outside the bar. When the crowd saw the police manhandling their prisoners, they pushed back with anger and force. The police ended up having to barricade themselves inside the bar, and it wasn't until about 4 a.m. that the fire department and riot squad were able to break up the crowd and rescue the police officers. Over the next few days, riots sprang up all over Greenwich Village, essentially sparking the gay rights movement. Within 2 years, gay rights organizations had sprung up across the USA, Canada, and Europe. Today, in the spirit of the Stonewall riots and those that came before, annual pride parades are held in New York City and across much of North America and Europe, celebrating a future without discrimination, a future where all enjoy equal rights and feel safe being themselves. My name is Allison Rose Munn, and thank you for joining me.